Welcome to the Story Boss channel, where we bring you unbelievable, strange, but true stories. So, story ya leo, it's about one man who was born in the year 1944 in the state of New York. So he was born an albino and also declared legally blind. So to be declared legally blind means that your vision is very poor. So he grows up just like other normal kids until when he was around 12 years old. Now that's when the parents enrolled him in a school for the blind. So akiwa tu shule, James learns how to play the guitar. And it's said that most of the time, ungempata tu peke yake akipractice his guitar. So much later over the years, James would move from New York to a state called South Carolina in a small town. So still playing his guitar, there he teams up with some few guys, wakaform a group, and they started touring some small clubs across America. So in one of the tours, he met a girl who later became his wife, and they had 5 children. So James continued to play in clubs. They would play what we call funky music. But in the early 90s, James would stop playing in clubs, and it said that he found religion. Alijoin church. He became a preacher, lakini gitaa kuachana nayo. So he would continue to play in church. But unfortunately, in the year 2004, James died of skin cancer. So as usual, when someone dies, the family has to start burial preparations. So the wife walks into one funeral home, which I believe was near where they were living, and she finds the owner, and he shows her different caskets. So she says, "Look, there's a problem. My husband weighs almost 150 pounds and is nearly 7 foot tall. So I don't think what you have here can fit my husband." So I believe at that point, that's when she was shown one casket, and she was convinced this one will fit your husband. Though she was a bit skeptical, akasema ni sawa tu, if he's going to fit, well and good. So she proceeds to bring the body, and then she leaves. But unfortunately, Mr. James doesn't fit in the coffin that the wife was shown. So this guy starts looking for solutions because he did not want to order a new coffin. So the only idea that he came up with is what is unthinkable. So the guy takes an electric saw, cuts Mr. James' legs from the knees, and he places them next to his body, and he nails shut the coffin. So he's confident because he knows during the body viewing, the casket will be half open. So when the burial day came and the body was placed in front of the church for viewing, almost immediately, people started talking in low tones because it was very clear something was really off. But the service goes on smoothly and Mr. James is buried. But now, in a town of small population, the rumors don't stop. So Mrs. James finally goes back to the funeral home to demand an explanation. So she finds the son of the owner, and she told him, "Look, that coffin looked weird." So I think at that point now, that's when the son came clean and told her what really happened. So she gets really mad and she threatens to sue the funeral home. So they tell her, "We don't have to go to court." So eventually they settle the matter out of court, and Mrs. James was told never to reveal the amount of money she was given. And the story is dead and gone. So that was until a few years later, an angry ex-employee goes to the board of funeral director's office of that state to expose some of the unscrupulous practices that were going on in that funeral home. And he gave her detailed information on what really happened to Mr. James. So immediately the board of directors contacted the police, and the first person they reach out to is Mrs. James. So she tells the police there was an out-of-court settlement and she was not supposed to disclose the amount of compensation that she received. So with her permission, the police requested if they could exhume her husband's body for confirmation, and she agreed. So the police dig up the body and confirm that the allegations were all true, and immediately the funeral home is closed. And that was the beginning of a very long court case. So they were given a fine to pay, and the business was back in operation. But in the middle of all this, the owner dies, leaving the son to continue with the business. But few years later, which I believe was around 2013, the son also died. So such businesses are handed over from family to family or from generation to generation. So I believe one of the family members took over the business, and it said that it's still in operation up to date. So let me know what you think of this story in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.